Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you about some of the things I noticed within Benjamin Banneker's letter that I thought were very well done and worth your time in analyzing if this were the actual AP prompt. So, the first and most obvious technique that Benjamin Banneker uses is the repetition of the word sir at the beginning of each paragraph. What's really interesting about Benjamin Banneker is that he understands his place in regards to Thomas Jefferson. He's a African American man that has many more liberties than most in 1791, but he also knows that Thomas Jefferson wields a lot of power in the United States of America, and so he needs to tread lightly regarding that tension between the two of them. And so Banneker knows that in order to maintain Thomas Jefferson's focus, to ensure that he actually reads this letter, and that Thomas Jefferson sees him as someone who is being respectful towards him, he needs to initiate that by repeating the word sir. Well, it doesn't take long for us as the reader to realize that the use of the word sir begins respectful, but then sort of shifts the tone into this admonishing and condescending tone by the end. And he does that because in each body paragraph, there's a little bit of a contrast. He starts by saying, "Sir, suffer me to recall," or "This, sir, was a time in which you clearly saw," or "Here, sir, was a time in which your tender feelings for yourselves, blah, blah, blah." So, in my analysis paragraph, what I would talk about is how Benjamin Banneker utilizes the word "sir" to appear respectful of Thomas Jefferson's place in society, but to offer a contrast. And so he contrasts by essentially starting each paragraph respectful and then following up with an experience that Thomas Jefferson has had or would be knowledgeable of to prove his own hypocrisy and regarding slavery in the United States. And so he does this through the use of allusions and anecdotes. So the first anecdote in paragraph 1 has to do with Thomas Jefferson's experience as a citizen under the British Crown. And, we all know the story of the founding fathers. And so they were inspired to come to America to claim independence from the British Crown because of the strict rule and order. And so they wanted more liberties and freedom. So Benjamin Banneker is able to parallel that to the role of slavery in the United States and what those who are enslaved experience and feel. And so by saying, "Sir, suffer me to recall you," he's essentially saying, "Hey, Thomas Jefferson, remember that time that you lived under British rule and you didn't like it because it was so strict and unnecessarily locked down?" And then Thomas Jefferson's like, "Oh, dear me. Yes, I do remember what that was like," because he had firsthand experience. Then the second paragraph ends with an allusion to the most famous document in American history. "We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." That is the closing of the preamble of the Declaration of Independence. And the allusion to the Declaration of Independence is really important here. He doesn't have to say, "I'm going to talk about the Declaration of Independence." He just alludes to it because he knows that Thomas Jefferson is going to know those words really well. Because guess what? Thomas Jefferson helped write the Declaration of Independence. So here, Benjamin Banneker, who is very knowledgeable, he is using Thomas Jefferson's published, well-known words against him to show his hypocrisy in not eliminating slavery in the United States. So as we move on through the right-hand column, Benjamin Banneker, I notice that he starts really utilizing the word "you" a little bit more pointedly. And so as he talks about the benevolence of Father of mankind and his equal and impartial distribution of those rights and privileges which he had conferred upon them, that you should at the same time counteract his mercies in detaining by fraud and violence so numerous a part of my brethren, he is really getting into this idea of like, "No, Thomas Jefferson, you can't put this on anyone else. This is on you. You are Secretary of State and you have the power to fix this and change this for the greater good." And then last allusion that I think is really powerful is in the very last paragraph, and this is a biblical allusion. You know, of all the things we know about the Puritans, of all the things we know about the founding fathers, we have a group of people who wanted religious freedom, but most of them were deeply religious. If you look at Thomas Jefferson's library at the Library of Congress, you notice that it has a lot of religious texts in it. And so this is going to be a guy who is very well versed in the Bible. He is probably a guy who reads the Bible regularly, maybe even participates in Bible study, but this is a document, a text that is part of his life every day. And so by referencing the Bible, Benjamin Banneker is not only referencing the Declaration of Independence to show Thomas Jefferson's hypocrisy, but then the Bible, his religious text, the text that provides guidance and spiritual connection. And so I believe that for Benjamin Banneker to accomplish his purpose, to try to make Thomas Jefferson feel guilty and a sense of remorse regarding slavery in the United States, Benjamin Banneker utilizes allusions, anecdotes, the repetition of the word sir to really cultivate a sense of guilt, a sense of, oh my gosh, all of these things I've been studying and doing for some people, I have not been applying to all people. Shame on me. And so I wanted to talk to you about that because I think that where we are with rhetorical analysis right now, it's really important that you have to push yourself to think at the deepest level you possibly can. So as you're reading this, any other speeches or texts over the next few weeks before the AP exam and at the college level, ask yourself, okay, well, this is what the writer is saying. Why would they be saying it? And then why would they be saying it that way to this audience? How does that work? And so the more you can slow yourself down and really pick upon the most important things that the writer does, the more successful you're going to be in any kind of analysis work. All right, thanks, guys.